Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bryony and I do cruelty-free vegan makeup reviews and tutorials on this channel on Sundays. And then on Tuesdays, we do deep dives into the environmental, social and ethical issues with the beauty industry, which is actually really related to what we're talking about today. You may have read this title and been like, how does how women police each other have anything to do with the beauty industry? My dears, it has a lot actually, and that's what we're going to talk about today, along with all of the history of the reasons why this has actually become a thing. And yeah, we've got a lot to dive into. So the way that I actually come up with these sorts of video ideas is through my Instagram, because I have so many conversations with so many really inspiring people right here on Instagram. Check me out on there, check me out on my stories. I always share about whatever makeup looks I'm doing and a lot of different issues you may want to know about in the stories. As usual, I have a whole bunch of links, studies, resources, opinion pieces, everything down below where I've gotten lots of really good information from. The study in particular is very interesting. I'll highlight that one at the top for you. Now, building your sisters up should be something that is celebrated. It's something that we've been encouraged to do for a long time, but kind of the way that society has functioned is to perform for the male gaze as opposed to the male gaze. Now, if we were performing for the male gaze, then we would be having a way more fun time than what we are right now and have been for many years. Sadly, no, they have also been, I don't know, what's the word? Well, gay conversion therapy is still a thing here in New Zealand, sadly, despite it not needing to be. So let's just jump straight into it and get started on this look. So why are we in competition with other women just for social approval? The patriarchy. Now, if you're a little bit triggered, please feel free to actually comment down below on this, because that would raise my engagement and I'd really appreciate it. Basically, I'm not on about the kind of healthy competition that happens between women, say for example if they are competing in sports. Those are sorts of healthy avenues where the lines are very clearly drawn about what is allowed, what isn't, and there's a lot of camaraderie, that sort of good stuff. No. We're on about the social policing that happens. The stuff where we can literally tear a woman down just based on the way that she looks or the way that she holds herself or acts or anything. And that's what we're talking about. This kind of breaks down to a couple of different things in terms of psychology. There's two paths. So the first is evolutionary psychology, which obviously utilizes natural selection, and with this, that means that we actually are going to be holding in regard protecting our womb, because if you talk to any gynecologist that is a man, at least in my experience, that's all that you are. You're literally a walking womb and that's your one purpose in life. Basically for that you have to keep competition away from you, and also away from stealing your man, because you need to be able to have a safe space where your man's still gonna provide for you, because what are you gonna do when you're nursing your child for 9 odd months? The second one is internalizing the patriarchy. Now this is where we actually put on the pedestal the values that men bestow upon us. Basically it's you give powers to the ones that will impregnate you, or could impregnate you, and you hold their values dear to your heart. At least from what I've read, it comes down to basically those, and in my opinion that sounds about right. I think that a lot of us actually fall prey to the second option a bit more now. It doesn't really breed to many good friendships now, does it? This which has glitter in it, which I didn't know. I thought it was going to be a matte, but it's not. Great, love that. Now this all happened when the settlers settled and when people had fixed places to live. This is where you would of course get sort of society being able to dictate what is right, what is wrong, who is value, who doesn't. Basically it comes down to sort of the same thing as what we've got today, except for the fact we've been fighting for it for literally thousands of years. Is that women are there to breed. Money goes down from male to male in a household. It doesn't actually go down from women. Women are based on their value not just because of their dowry, but because of their looks, because of their birthing hips and their social position and their niceness. Are they genteel? Are they generous? Those sort of female qualities that are very prevalent when it comes to, I don't know, traditional Disney princesses, except for the fact that people I don't know, Cinderella didn't actually have that good a social standing, but she sure could clean. So you got that covered, eh boys? So of course, in my opinion, this is kind of where you can breed competition, because if women don't really have any rights because they've been taken away from them despite the fact that things used to be a lot more equal, how else are you meant to set yourself apart when men literally have the power? It's like the penis can do the picking. So when you've got this in play, women are not allowed to fight because that's considered to be unladylike and uncivilized, and we do not do those sorts of things in civilized society where we pick people based on looks and looks alone. No. So of course women could be a little bit more underhanded when it came to certain things and issues and whatever, and it's just kind of like a learned technique. Again, from my opinion, and again from what I've read, basically girls do not like other girls, even from a young age, when they are kind of acting superior to others. Girls do not like other girls that are considered to be bossy or superior. So it's kind of like you want this equality across girls, across women, and that's been rewarded, that's seen as a good thing. Who gets to make the decisions about who's being treated equally and not? Because the men can say something, but also the fact that a woman's reputation can be so easily shattered, and back in the day, your reputation was a massive part of your selling point. I mean, just look at Bridgerton for historical accuracy on this, my goodness. She got pregnant because of love? And you didn't want to marry his brother? Whew. So basically, the competition was strife to be able to like get a good husband that would actually be faithful to you, which was probably rare, because I'm not saying that all men didn't actually go have their bit on the side or be polygamous, because that was actually quite a thing back in the day. Which again comes down to the Madonna whore complex, which I can talk about if you want to, because I could literally talk about it for days. But then the fears of all of this cheating and the fact that they might take their resources away from you because you had no way to actually secure like a life for yourself and your children, I don't know if you even survived that, would mean that you'd be really, really scared about other competition coming into your life. So it can, like, you can understand like the primal instincts of like being worried about that. And of course the next best thing to do if you're not allowed to fight is to find a way to become the competition or knock out the competition by taking them down in a social manner. So where you can gossip, where you can spread rumors, where you can sabotage. Like, there are a lot of different ways that women fight. I mean, I know that I've experienced it myself. I'm sure that most girls, women, people who identify as a woman, they all have experienced it in their own way. Now, this sort of stuff can even extend to the boardroom. It can extend to businesses, because of course the traditional diversity quota, like say for example back in the 70s and 80s, there were only a certain amount of women who like they needed to be able to have on board to get that little tick that they wanted to show that they were diverse. So the competition was really rife between women, and women would automatically be compared to each other. Just think about any media that you've seen. I always remember scenes like from Niagara with Marilyn Monroe, and also just think about the way that women treated those other women who were the other woman. It's not the man that gets blamed for the fact that he was pursuing this relationship, it's women who get blamed for not upholding the sisterhood, for being promiscuous, for tempting him with their womanly wiles. And it's like, well actually it kind of takes two. Why do we automatically hate on the woman when if he's your man, he's the one to blame, not her? Now, it can be really, really hard to take that step back psychologically, I do get that, but if he was lying that whole time, why are we just automatically attacking her? And also, you think about someone like Monica Lewinsky. She was what, like 23 when it happened? Complete social pariah, was plastered everywhere with the fact that she's the worst person on the planet. And then we also didn't even address the fact that it was she was with the president, and that power dynamic and that complete dichotomy that's going on there. It's like, she was the one that suffered, not him. People were applauding him, the president, for doing that, and we wonder how we got Trump. But anyway, she was ultimately the victim in that situation. Like, I still do believe that. If you haven't seen Monica's TED Talk as well, I will actually link that down below too, because that was really, really good. So we were taught of all these things through the media, through what our families have taught us, through what societal norms have taught us, and this has been passed down from generation to generation. It's just been one continuous cycle. Now this is a channel that is more dedicated to beauty issues, so let's talk about, ooh, shiny. So why do beauty companies market to us the way that they do and have done for as many years as they have? Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. So first off, you're attributing it to good genes, and then secondly, you're teaching people that, oh wait, no, you can lie, cheat, and steal your way to get that man that you always wanted. Now, I can think too much into things, I do understand that, but that's basically what that phrase is saying, right? And actually, when you look at Maybelline's like older ones, their older sort of slogans, they really went ham into that messaging. Traditionally in these adverts, they put one singular, very skinny, very conventionally pretty and beautiful, white, of course, young, of course, model on a pedestal in these adverts, showing off how beautifully pale her skin was and how thin and perfectly desirable for the times was. The ads for back in the day were explicitly about approval from men and about what men wanted. Would he even marry you if he saw a grey hair today? Goodness. Oh, you need to have like fresh kissable lips, you need to have beautifully matte skin, you need to be this particular size, but only this size, nothing above or below, otherwise you're not acceptable. As you roll around to the 80s and more women's rights have actually come into play, but honestly not enough in my books, sort of shifted to be the fact that your makeup could last for an 8-hour day. Now it's like, why would you need to wear makeup in the office? I mean, what if you catch a man though? The adverts have shifted from explicitly saying that you need approval from men to implicitly. They still follow the same sort of format. Typically one beautiful woman is still being focused on with how flawless their skin is. Things are still very much photographed with the male gaze in mind though. The way that some adverts are shot, especially as you get into like the 90s and 2000s, I was like, oh okay, I thought that I would see this more in the 70s. Now there's some in the 70s that were very, very bad. So in a lot of these adverts, they've had their good genes brought up, the fact that they take the time to groom themselves and whatever. Now, I may have misinterpreted this to kind of be a creative outlet based on what I've been taught for many, many years of my life, because I'm now 31. Have we been taught that doing this is self-care right now? Am I actually doing self-care right now, or am I actually just feeding into what men want? So like I said, because the ads are shot with the male gaze in mind, everything's done in a way that these women do look elite. You won't typically see like the average woman in these adverts, and that's okay, it's fine. Like, I know that even though Dove is a terrible company, that things are shifting now, but we're still coming across it a lot when it comes to like adverts. Everyone's very pretty. The thing that I want you to ask is, who decides on what we should look like with a lot of these more mainstream ads, and who also says what age range is pretty? Because I don't know about you, but when I actually come across brands that are female owned or owned by people of color, they tend to be so much more inclusive, so much better in terms of like their shade range, in terms of the way that they actually shoot things, like women are actually looking genuinely happy. So yes, beauty companies have absolutely played into this and base women's worth just on the way that they look. And if you are not blessed genetically, hi, you can actually work your way around that and make yourself look better. I know for a fact that for me personally, when I go out without any makeup on, I am not recognized. But for other people, it's like, well, you're just lying. And then you've got all of those memes like, oh, take her on a first date swimming, bro. And the first thing you should do is like put a wet wipe on her face to see how pretty she really is. Why exactly is it women that are attacking and policing each other? I mean, men can just say like a couple of things and they're not typically as toxic or as consistent or as effective as when females want to take down another female. Look at what happened to Megan Fox. She was literally used as a sex object from the age of 15, and what happened to her? She was vilified by women because she, against her will, was portrayed as just a sex object, and that was all that anyone could see her for. And it's one of the reasons that people don't go and see Jennifer's Body, which is actually a very good film. So we'd had pick-me girls, not like other girls, I fell into that category for a long time. I wanted to separate myself because I was like, no, I'm above all of this stuff. I just don't get along well with girls. Like, they just cause too much drama. And it's like, well, maybe you're part of the problem. Maybe the actual reality was the fact that I couldn't handle my intense feelings of jealousy. If I was going to be a 7 deadly sin, mine would absolutely be jealousy. I'm very well aware. I'm so well aware of that fact. Now, it can of course come down to the evolutionary, where beauty is still perceived to be skin deep. I do actually have a video on Pretty Privilege very soon. I have already talked about attractiveness bias in the legal system up here if you want a little bit of a deep dive into that. But that's what other girls really are on an evolutionary scale, is the competition. Now, this is applicable to even people that are in happy, loving, wonderful relationships. There is always a fear that your man, your partner, your partners may see someone else and they may leave you for them. Just because someone younger, more conventionally attractive than you walks on by and it's like, oh, pang of jealousy, oh my god, resources are gonna disappear from me. What the hell, I need to go attack that woman in a underhanded Scorpio kind of way and make sure that my man doesn't go off with them. Because of course we need to still remember that we have an expiry date of 35, ladies. Now, with that expiry date of 35, all you need to do is have a look at like the top hits of search histories, even on something like Pornhub, and you'll see the word teen is inserted there so many times right up at the top. And that of course plays into the sexualization of the youth, which is another disgusting thing which I can talk about if you want, but I kind of feel like I'll need to wash my eyes out with bleach if I do. And also, why the hell are we projecting sexualization onto young girls who are literally just trying to figure out what the hell is going on with their bodies? Women still have to be beautiful, but like not too beautiful. Sexy, but not too slutty. Virtuous and kind, of course. And of course skilled, but not too skilled or any of the above in a way that would actually breed contempt from your counterparts, because then as soon as one person gets too high up, like we even saw this with the likes of people like Jennifer Lawrence, like she was heralded as like the every girl, and then because she got too big, women started to take her down. And it's like, why can't we just have nice things? So of course, like, she fell into the same category, not quite as badly as Megan Fox did, but of people that were catering to what men want. And it's like, well, they've been marketed that way. They've been given the roles which portray them that way. If you are being consistently objectified, then of course you are asking for it. It's not because other people are objectifying you, it's because you're the one that's being part of the problem. You're the one that's supporting it. It's not just the fact that you want to get a paycheck or be able to actually work your way up to better movies or whatever sort of projects you want to work towards. And it's just because someone else did a better job than you. And so of course we want to tear them down. Again, it comes down to that whole equality thing. Now the thing is, we should be really asking, what can we actually do to unlearn these ways? It's down to self-reflection, baby. Seriously though, it does come down to us learning. Why are we thinking this way about these women who are probably wonderful women who are honestly probably fully realized humans that are also dealing with their own struggles? It can be a woman, it can be a man, it can be a non-binary lovely, it can be anybody. Because honestly, everyone's probably had these thoughts about everyone else. They're skinnier than me, they're so much more X or Y than me. Whatever internalized battle that you're facing, you're gonna project it onto someone else. This just happens so often. But of course, what do we say here? People can change, learn and grow. I believe in you. I believe in all of us being able to do that. Having these sorts of conversations, because I do hope this turns into a conversation, because I would love to chat with you in the comments down below. We need to have these sorts of conversations to be able to realize certain things about ourselves that we may be limiting ourselves away from. Now, I want to raise one key issue here. If a prospective partner ever makes you feel less because they are comparing you to another, they're the issue, not you. Whoever this person is in your life, your significant other or significant others, if they're actually doing any sort of comparison, in my view, you should not be comparing people. Everyone's an individual snowflake, as we can tell by any time that I say something that is slightly left-wing. I trigger a lot of snowflakes there. I want you to have a conversation with this person about how that makes you feel, for one, and then two, The fact that you don't really understand why they wanted to compare you in the way that people compare cars, because you're actually not an object. We need to start valuing ourselves and others for more than what we've been taught by society. We should still continue to be asking these questions as to why it's okay to fat shame, why it's okay to slut shame, why it's okay to shame people in general for just the way that they look, the way that they carry themselves, why, or whatever job they choose to do. If you personally consider it demeaning, maybe they don't consider it demeaning. Like I've said many times, we live in a capitalistic world. There's not much that we can really do about it for now. And sometimes people have to take on jobs that they don't really like in order to pay the bills. This is still something that I have to consciously remind myself of every day, because like I said, jealousy is absolutely something that I suffer from. By us remaining critical as to why we are thinking certain ways, then we can start to dismantle this and actually build more confidence in ourselves through that self-reflection. And of course, this is almost the biggest struggle, and I do worry about the youth when it comes to this. We literally are working on systems that are based on algorithms which are based on heteronormative ways in predominantly, let's just say it, from a predominantly white male lens. So when you're actually coming across that and then you're trying to create content that isn't necessarily about that, or you are sharing photos that aren't, you know, adhering to the male gaze or talking about things which men deem to be important, then you're gonna not get as much attention as if you were catering to that. And we shouldn't worry about valuing ourselves on that. We should worry about valuing ourselves on the impact that we have on others, on the way that we are making ourselves feel. If we are personally feeling proud of ourselves, that's where we can get a lot of strength from. And if you are trying to learn, change and grow and better yourselves, open your mind more, listen to different stories, different life experiences, if you're trying to take part in the way that like society works, if you're trying to improve the lives of others, like those are the sorts of things that we should be valuing. Yes, you can absolutely still value like people's talent, people's inherent beauty, you can value so many different things, but instead of like when we scroll past someone that is like gorgeous, like stunningly beautiful, instead of like being like, oh yeah, that's super photoshopped, because I'm a very strong person against Photoshop, which is again something that I've got another video in my mind that I want to do. But instead of just scrolling past those images and being like, ugh, they're just asking for attention, that's a thirst trap, that's whatever, it's a, what is it? It's a thought. Oh, I bet that like X, Y, Z about them, or even just thinking really toxically negatively about them. Instead, we should use these people as inspiration. It's like, why am I feeling this way about this person? Is that because it's what I want to be? Is there some way that I'm feeling like I'm lacking that they've got that I don't have? If that's the case, then there can be part of like a dismantling of like, okay, if I want this, how do I go to get it? And is that really what I want, or is that just because what society has taught me that I should want? You know, it's like those sorts of internal conversations. I've just been thinking about this a lot recently, as you can probably tell from this kind of ramble, and I do hope that this has been helpful for you. I haven't even finished my makeup look yet, so I'm just gonna do that and then I'll be back. Basically what I'm saying is try to be inspired and, I don't know, maybe go watch Mean Girls. Thank you lovelies so much for making it all the way to the end. If you have made it to the end, please leave a little teacup down in the comment section down below so that I actually know. And also comment down below of any other topics that you want me to dive into next, or brands you want me to cover, and check me out on Instagram right here. So thank you lovelies so much for watching this video. I do really appreciate it, and I'll see you on Sunday with another video where we review something, and then the following Tuesday where we're going to do another deep dive. Stay safe lovelies, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.